them extra time and attention. Remember to listen to your children, speak kindly, and reassure them. If possible, make opportunities for the child to play and relax. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311, psychosocial support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
I can't stay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Thursday, June 10th, 2021. It is an absolute pleasure, as always, to be here with you. And I know we don't have enough time to do much of the talking and everything, but let me just say, as we always do, good morning to those of you watching us on television on channel 124, that is Flow, UTV Underground Television. We appreciate it, as always. Also, if you're watching us on the different social media platforms where we are streaming at this moment, you know, we hope you're having a good one so far. Watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I said Facebook already? Yeah. And everything else. And of course, those of you listening to us on our radio partner station, that's Hits FM, thank you for joining us. Now, okay, we are going to start off, and I just saw it before I started the show, but because I laugh at it so much, I thought, you know what? You know, why not? Why not look at what exactly is going on? I know there are a lot of political songs right now. Some of them I like, some of them have a vibe, some of them do not. And this latest one I just saw on Facebook, it's newly released from Al Prince. And yeah, so I like catching my kicks. And I thought, you know what? Why the hell not? Let's take a look at the newly released video to the Vote song.
Bonjour, c'est Boss Alkila. Yo, père, nous got tout le monde qui vote by flambeau et tout le monde qui vote by flambeau. Chasse, c'est un mauvais coq bataille. London, we going. Flambeau, nous qu'à voter. Flambeau, nous qu'à voter.
Okay, let's just continue. Let's look at it some more.
Flambeau, nous qu'à voter. Flambeau, nous qu'à voter. Flambeau, nous qu'à voter. Chasse les cafés pays à bien. Kenny pas te fait un bagay. Actuellement, moi qu'à big up guy. Bokay, moi pas ni afalay. Ezekiel Joseph, il c'est un bon petit boy. Big up Spider, Herman Gill. Actuellement, na toi vai.
Okay, so in that, yeah, I could see London dancing, or whatever he wants to call that flailing sort of thing. But it also surprised me to see, okay, yeah, you have your lyrics, everything, you're doing your thing. But it is astounding that permission was given to go on the site of St. Jude's to, you know, have that video done. And there are parliamentarians clamoring still, sending letters, doing what they think they have to do within the confines of the law and everything else in the Constitution, trying to do things in the right way. And they have yet to go on that site. But yet, you know, Al Prince can go because he has the Vote song. And I just think that, yeah, I catch in my kicks because, you know, the man dressed all in yellow with blue shoes on. I mean, yeah, it doesn't do it for me. But the serious issue for me is how we're seeing politics being dealt. If even just a music video, you can see how people are being given permission just for that. But I think there's a bigger issue here, a bigger issue. One that I take very, very seriously is the inability of flubble men in dancing, okay? I have yet to see one candidate, one individual, one minister that looking like they have a vibe. To y'all, And I thought maybe it was, Shasday doing this lumbering thing, and now I see London doing whatever that was. And then let's not leave Herod out of it, because Herod was doing something that was so awkward. Like, when you have second-hand embarrassment, like, so what was that? Okay, you have to see it too. I had to see it, so watch it for yourself.
Win, big up Herod, big up King. You know that we can win. Bon, look at vote. Win, big up Herod, big up King. You know that we can win. Bon, look at vote.
Sad. Anyway, okay, that's enough time, because we don't have enough time. Let's go to the other thing that I found mad. It had me incredulous. I could not believe that somebody would say that. Somebody, when they say, when pigs start to fly, sort of thing, like these sayings, like it's just so mad it can never happen. I never thought a liar would call other people a liar in such sort of having the righteous indignation. You don't believe me? I figure you won't believe me, because I didn't believe it myself. Where would Nancy come off calling anybody else a liar, knowing that we know what she's done and has said? But if you don't believe me, take a look for yourself.
I've always said to you that you want to come into office, you want to get into office, do it the right way. Do it with facts, with numbers, with figures, and with correct information. Pa kwe ou kay gen eleksyon, pa vini ek just manti bay moun ek di moun sa ou kwe yo vle tan. It doesn't work anymore. Why would politicians who have been part of governance, who have been part of the management machinery, both in the upper and the lower house, politicians who have been furnished with all the correct information, because c'est li si ou sav la yoy parlement, toute information là, they have it in parliament. Why would they go on national television and tell bold-faced, blatant, undignified labor lies? Why? I want you to ask yourself that question tonight. Why? Now, I understand this is what they call the silly season. I understand that all is fair in war and political campaigns. But the beauty of the United Workers' Party St. Lucia and this administration is that we have never and we will never flavor and fabricate lies to St. Lucians under the guise that we are putting them first. So tonight, my program will set the record straight on CIP, the funds we have received. What exactly has it been spent on? And we've said it over and over again. I'm not sure why I have to say that tonight, but I'll say it again tonight. So the candidate who goes around with the supposed halo of good governance, the one who is supposed to understand the Finance Administration Act, was the same one on Sunday who was on her feet manipulating and downright misleading St. Lucians for cheap political points. Tonight, it's not about politics for me. And you would recognize when I come into the studio, I come in every different color except yellow. In fact, tonight I'm wearing a red pair of wristwatch. And my colleagues tell me, Sasaye, Sasaye. That's to show you. It's really not about politics for me. I'm a political person. I love my party. But when I come here, this is not about politics. It's about demartying some people. You can't talk.
A red pair of wristwatch. A red pair of wristwatch. And it's Halo, okay? Let's just start off there. Okay, so you heard Nancy, talking about lies and the righteous indignation that we really need to someone put this by side. I do not know how somebody can do that. How can you do that? But I guess, things looking scruffy, things looking hard, you have to do more, Nancy, do more, because the nice position, the cushy job where you are doing nothing, where you don't have the qualifications for it and getting paid with taxpayers' money, you know, that might be coming to an end. So, Vini, be kuye mun mate. Tieme pele ko eme a lot moon. A red pair of wristwatch. Listen, I think, I saw that and I thought, you know what, Trisha, do you really want to go into this? You know, there are other real issues at hand, whatever. But yes, I will go into it. We will go into it, because when people like that speak of lies and say it with such, you know, if you don't know her, you would believe what she's saying. And I think it gives us an opportunity to remember the person that we're dealing with, to remember that Nancy and the people like her who will say and do anything for their own gain, financially and otherwise, they do not really care about this country, and they're just doing what they want to do, doing what they think that they have to do. So just for that, let's just take a look at some of the lies Nancy has told over the past couple of years, maybe months. Let's take a look at that.
In these guava seasons, when you have to implore belt-tightening measures, there are priorities. We have no resources in St. Lucia, as you say, all the time. So we've been called to sacrifice, and I can. But priority, you think it's a priority now to hire a sport consultant for $34 million US in the grand scheme of things?
Caller, let me clarify.
And my problem with the...
That was explained today.
Let's stop and let me clarify. This is untrue. The government has not hired a consultant for $34 million.
Okay, how much did he hire? At what cost?
The cost,
$34 million.
Cost is no more than 12 million EC dollars.
At what cost?
The cost, $34 million. Cost is no more than 12 million EC dollars.
12 million US dollars. Unless the government approves further expenditure. And that TPC will be contracted for this entire period. 12 million US dollars.
The government getting money.
I'm not the government.
I know you're not, but I guess you have an idea.
But I've shaken the hand of the ambassador from Taiwan.
You want to explain a little bit? And you say you shake
I played golf with him too.
Hi, good evening, Timothy.
Hi, good evening to you, ma'am.
This is Mrs. Nancy Chow, Director of Implementation in the Office of the Prime Minister. So if we begin with Ojo Labs, it has been commonly said by the Labour Party that we have given Ojo Labs millions of dollars. That is not true. That is not the case. The government of St. Lucia has not given to Ojo Labs 1 cent.
Over 1.8 million EC will be spent retrofitting and providing training and utilities for the center.
For the first month, for the first 6 months, we're going to pay $1,000 EC in their salary. The next year after that, we're going to be paying $500.
Nancy is telling untrue. My place we would lie. Well, like the bully street. Yeah, the Nancy is telling lies because it's a session. Because most persons at the Soufre meeting regarding the synthetic turf idea were against it. Nancy ni pliche passe en pache kat. When these people die and are on the way to hell, the devil will shout, hit the furnace 7 times hotter.
It is now history that this government is now beginning their 3rd year in office, and people are getting more and more frustrated. You can feel the pulse of the people. It is not just talk, because those I've spoken to are adamant that they are fed up.
The United Workers' Party says they have been making good strides in achieving their governance goals. Speaking as treasurer and spokesperson of the UWP, Nancy Charles sought to thank all those who voted the party in. She even thanked those who she claims voted the other way and now throw their support behind the government. Charles says the UWP's 2016 election manifesto has been their guide, and the party is very pleased with the accomplishments of the past 2 years.
Business entities like the supermarket and the chamber came out and said that as well. They had seen an increase in sale, they had seen an increase in business activity.
Turn off the television and listen to Jukebois instead. Bye-bye, Flavor!
Recently, you heard a particular lady making the statement, how so many are fine-tuned with the government, and she continued giving false information that seemed to so far-fetched that she became the laughing stock of the whole country, even among the government supporters. Some are convinced that she should not be the face of the party because there are those who think that she is dishonest in what she says and does. Her whole mannerism is wrong, and she lacks that bit of finesse which would hold the populace attention. Some are clearly of the opinion that she is singing for a supper like all of us. And what I would like to ask sincerely is, what are her qualifications for the post she now holds?
No, she didn't leave, Papa. She make a touch. She touch her money.
Is that so?
Yes, Papa. She touch her money. And you don't see they're not even pushing Nancy as a candidate. You heard they have a candidate from outside already.
I heard they were looking at somebody, but to me last night I heard the fella say, he's not in that, eh?
There's always a munsaka paleni tila le television zo. Turn off the television and listen to Juke Bois instead. Bye-bye, Flavor!
Sick. To be quite honest with you, it's sick. So the $500,000 the day before elections in 2016 that just vanished, Nancy in charge. It vanished, but you don't know where it go. $500,000 taken from the Vieux North Constituency Council account. Upoing. It's taken, it's vanished, and then you get lands being bought by Nancy, and now she has a pig farm. If you want to come now and speak of lies, and with such, so much passion too, it has to be something is missing, and I think that is what's wrong with this country. People like that who forget about everything else, but just making sure that they have to say what they have to say to stay where they are. Pamweki do wife out fair. Nancy had to do the flight plans for the Prime Minister, the same document that was out there where he was supposed to be on the jet and going to Morocco and whatever. Instead of doing Morocco to France, Nancy egg pair of wrist watch there. If I back to France, and she put France to Morocco, so that's why the thing got cancelled. So if it's now you did that boo-boo and you have to come in harder because maybe they don't like you anymore, they already take you out as deputy chair because you're PMLA because you cross boundaries. Even the people in Florboyo, Adimwesa, Nancy not staying in a section. And what's your section? Director of Implementation in the Office of the Prime Minister. What's your qualification? Nothing. Because why? There's another person that has been there for 15 years doing that exact job. So you're just in an office taking taxpayers' money that you do not even need because it's a political appointment. You go and you went for training, and to get that finance through the public service, you had to be a public servant. So, okay, you're not a public servant, you still get it. Normally, that is supposed to be done. The school has to be paid. So the permanent secretary have to give it to you in your hands. What you do again? Not for school, they give you money for room and board and meals. You go and stay at your son's house in the UK instead. Nancy, kimunu ye parle about mate kimun kamati. Kimunu ye. Pa last year me puyole ko me a lot moon. And if you forget, I have to tell you about yourself. I don't want to come into that Thursday morning. Me Simon buffet. I'm not done yet either, because I think one of the most egregious things that you did, and one of the lies and all of the lies that you've done, and there's evidence of it. Let's look at the next image there, where we see Nancy sending emails. It says here, "Hi, Dr. Felicia, can this please be expedited as CMO authorized this over a week ago?" She's requesting for clinical samples, and that's coming from Nancy Charles, Director of Implementation. So Nancy is asking that. Dr. Felicia, I hope this message finds you in good health. I am writing to request some clinical samples to complete the validation of some clinical samples to complete the validation central instruments. It says we would be happy to receive 5 known positive samples and about 10 anonymized known negative samples. Further, we would like to validate the kit. Grateful for your guidance on the procedure if other things are required in the aforementioned. Let's go to the next one. There's another reply. It says, "I thank you for the email. I am in no position to comply with your request as the CMO has indicated that she has granted no such authorization." So the first thing we saw was Nancy saying the CMO gave her the permission to ask what she's asking. Now somebody's, Dr. Wayne Owen Felicia says, I thank you for the email. I am in no position to comply with your request, as the CMO has indicated that she has granted no such authorization as indicated in the response to this email. Kindly note that it was brought up during discussions with the relevant authorities, including the CMO, that there are certain legal and medical requirements from your organization that have not been ascertained, which would enable facilitating your request. I welcome for the dialogue with you through the CMO, who conjointly is suited to direct such matters in a safe and legally sound manner. Oh, Matiele CMO, you said that she tell you that they can bring, whether they can bring the samples to another lab. Sapative whip, yes. Let's go to the next one. I hope this it says here, kindly know that it was brought up during the discussions with the relevant authorities. Yes, so I think that makes the point. And that again is coming from Dr. Sharon Belmar George, who said she never said anything like that. So Matieni Tiloa and lying on a CMO in the middle of COVID, saying that, you know, she said bring it to another lab. You know what that could have done to St. Lucia, and how we could be sanctioned by the World Health Organization? Because when you start to, you know, give other labs permission to do certain things where they don't have the permission, they don't have the approval to do it, that would put us in a very difficult situation with the World Health Organization. The show is only an hour and I already spent too much on you. But still, we need to look at some of the other issues. So, St. Lucian, I know that when, you know, you're hearing elections, people have to say the things, and they have to say it with a lot of, you know, the bass in their voice, and but as we continue with the show, I think there was another thing that she said that we need to look into, so let's do that.
My disappointment with Emma tonight is that she behaves like she's holier than thou. Madame la l'église toute les. She pretends to have this principle of good governance, but yet still she can stand on a political platform and blatantly lie to the general public. I mean, this behavior, it is shocking, it is irresponsible, but I have to tell you, it is typical of the St. Lucia Labour Party. I expected better, but shame on me for expecting better. And so I listened to the lady. And I was like, are you kidding me? Emma said, and I'm going to quote what she said. She said, the NIC board did not follow proper guidelines. And hence we have the Cabot fiasco. Bosetli si. Dis-moi qui ça qui Cabot fiasco. Tell me what is wrong about giving somebody a loan. You give it to them at an interest rate. The person come back a year or two later, pay you back your loan, pay you back your interest, tell you thank you very much. Is that a fiasco? That's what you're calling a fiasco? You mean a loan was given to a developer, he has paid the loan ahead of time, he has paid his interest, and you call that a fiasco? I mean, aren't you ashamed of standing up and saying that? Aren't members of the St. Lucia Labour Party ashamed of talking about Cabot?
Nancy, est-ce ou même pas en honte? Est-ce ou même pas en honte? St. Lucia, there comes a time, there will be a time, and I think the time has come to, for us to really decide on what is more important, whether we have a true love for St. Lucia. So I won't even deal with her personal attacks on Emma. I will deal with her, you know, speaking of Cabot deal like it's not a fiasco and people are making it out to be what it's not. St. Lucia has loaned $30 million to Cabot to invest, and they made $2 million on it. Okay? What does that mean in the grand scheme of things when Cabot is now making over $100 million on our head, on our land, and you make $2 million on it? Nancy upawe unka mati upa hot. And what did we receive? Let's put up the next image. What did we get, really? We got the $2 million and they paid ahead of time as if that's something. Then the government of St. Lucia says thank you to Cabot for their $50,000 donation towards the COVID-19 response. That's what we got. $50,000 donated to us on COVID-19. But the question is, what did they really make? Let's take a look at the next image. Cabot St. Lucia tops $50 million in sales. They donate 50,000 and they make 50 million, and not 50 million ECU, not 50 million, that's in US. So they made $130 million EC on our heads in Cabot. If it's not a fiasco, what is it? We are getting nobody, no nationals of ours working there, Canadians alone. Thousands of acres of our land being given. It's being sold already. You make $2 million on it. We cannot even have beach access. The people say we have to take golf carts to be put in different places now. You want to go to a blind woman, musty pay Miss Marjorie, saying that you're going to give her some money and whatever, she can go down where they have a mangrove or whatever. Nobody wants to be there. The disdain that this administration, including yourself, Nancy, has for people. Once you know that you can get it, once you know that you're okay and your house good and the mortgage paid and everything else, and you're buying your land, everything good by you, you're okay if nobody else. It is a fiasco. And it's emblematic of a lot of the other policies that we're seeing here, where St. Lucians will get nothing. Our land is being given away. So you get $2 million and that's it. It's a great deal. Sacre sans honte. Let's take a look at the next report.
Cabot executives have assured public access to the 3 beaches bordering their proposed golf course and private residencies. Cabot escorts and golf carts will be provided to usher locals along new access points to get to the beaches. Rehani Isidore has more.
Cabot Links executives recently briefed the Cap Estate Residents Association on what to expect during the project's construction phases. Cap Estate residents also got the opportunity to address their concerns. Beach access was a key issue, despite Cabot's repeated assurances to preserve public access.
All developers must provide access to all beaches, and what I've described as to how that will be done has been accepted and fits within the law.
Casabah Beach, Donkey Beach and Secret Beach will be enveloped in Cabot's plan to build a world-class golf course, resorts and private residences on more than 340 acres. The old way of getting to those beaches will change. Cabot CEO Christine Thompson, equipped with visuals of the new beach access points for locals, says the company will incur the expenses to cut new roads and even install new amenities.
This piece of land is because we attempted to try and acquire or get the government to try and acquire some of these lands to relocate Marjorie's restaurants, etc. But these are all privately held. That did not work out. And this piece of land here, which is labeled Lot 235, is Crown land. So this piece is owned by the government. And the plan is that we would build Cabot at its expense, would build a road, a new road. We brought the MP for the area, the Ministry of Physical Planning down here, and they very much liked the plan. So they're in the process of taking that back to Cabinet for approval. So we, Cabot, would sort of build these facilities. And Marjorie and the sort of road to the beach would be replaced by this access and this plan.
The land earmarked for Cabot's sprawling project has been privately owned for decades. Despite previous attempts to build hotels in that area, the land has largely remained untouched. That was until last December, when Cabot unleashed their bulldozers to prep the land for construction. Public access to Donkey Beach and Secret Beach, although assured by Cabot, will however be impeded by hotels and exclusive condos. The alternative? Supervised escorts for locals.
If you enter through the area where the crown lands are that you're building the facilities, can you from there walk into the property and get to Donkey Beach is what I'm trying to understand.
No, you can't, because the resort sort of is obviously not on Queen's Chain, but the secure resort sort of starts behind that. So that would be walking over people's private property. So no, you can't do that. You can walk all along Kazamba Beach and you can be escorted to Donkey Beach or Secret Beach. But you cannot walk from Kazamba along the coast to Donkey and Secret Beach.
Save for the guided escort, several other hotels on island built on beachfront property have similar public access arrangements.
We need to be escorted? Like, what are we, criminals?
So, if that doesn't sound like a fiasco to you, then what is it? From the environment that we're plunging into and we're affecting in the most negative way, to the money that we have lost because NIC could have bought that land and they would have made about 3 or 4 times more if they had then sold it to that company. I don't know when we take mediocrity and try to repackage it as something to celebrate. A fiasco? Yes, I think it is a fiasco, Nancy. I think that when you're going to talk about a millionaire, a billionaire, supposed billionaire from Canada, who even then when he was trying to do the golf whatever he was trying to do in Canada, in receivership, it was in receivership with the bank, but he could not have bought it then. So we now have to give him money to destroy our heritage, to destroy our land. And now it's selling at $250, I think, a square foot. Say, Lucia, I mean, those people who want to listen to Nancy and, they need something to hold on to, I think it will be nice for them to hear Nancy say these things. But for those of us who know what it is and understand the love that we have for our country and seeing how cheap we are selling ourselves as people like Nancy come on a show and celebrate it, I think we understand that. And one more thing, Nancy, see quoi no oublier, no pass about you. The money you sold in that business in Vieux-Fort when you were doing bookkeeping, if you've forgotten, that's the kind of person you are. So when you're trying to give people maybe about they lie and they're not good and they in church may you play movie, you are the absolute worst. You are the worst. And I finish with you. We'll be right back.
I can't stay.
Thanks for tuning in to your favorite content creator, UTV. To find out more, follow us on our social media platforms: YouTube UTV124, Facebook UTV124, Instagram UTV124, Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
Protocols for international visitors while in St. Lucia. The following protocols are established to guide the stay of all guests while on island in order to mitigate any possible spread of infection. During the first 14 days, visitors are allowed to patronize approved beaches, restaurant, sea and land excursions, and sites and attractions. All visits are scheduled and pre-arranged by their respective accommodation providers. During this period, all visitors will be transported to and from the certified sites using only COVID-19 certified tourism transportation. After the first 14 days, if any visitor wishes to stay on island beyond the 14-day period, they must apply for and receive a health clearance certificate from the Ministry of Health. Visitors will be allowed to travel, be out in the wider public, and patronize local businesses unsupervised once health clearance certificates have been received. During their entire stay, visitors must wear their masks whenever they are in public places and maintain the mandatory 6 feet distancing from others.
You're watching UTV. TV for you.
Joachim Henry and his wife Claudia are not facing criminal charges. Their attorneys, Leslie Mondesi and Lon Theophilus, spoke on their behalf after meeting with major crimes investigators on June 9th. The same day, the couple were expected to be charged for allegedly disturbing church services at the Forestier Seventh-day Adventist Church 6 weeks ago on April 24th.
As you're aware, about 10 a.m. this morning, Mr. and Mrs. Henry were required to attend at the Major Crime Unit to hold a meeting with an investigating officer regarding a report that was made to the unit. However, about 9:30 a.m., myself and Mr. Theophilus, we received a call asking us to attend at the Major Crime Unit in advance of this 10 a.m. meeting. We attended and we had discussions with the police. So as a result of what our discussions with them, what was originally planned for this morning did not proceed. And also, Mr. and Mrs. Henry were not required to make any appearance at the Major Crime Unit. We've been informed that this matter will be handled differently.
So why did it take police investigators more than a month to pursue criminal charges from an incident captured on cell phone video and widely circulated on social media? Usually, police need statements from witnesses or a formal complaint to lay charges. NBC Prime can confirm the complaint needed to file charges against the Henry couple was not made by the pastor of the Forestier SDA Church. Acting Commissioner of Police George Nicholas, in a June 8th Loop News article, named Guy Joseph as the claimant in the alleged Forestier SDA Church disturbance incident. Police Commissioner Milton Daisy, however, was non-committal on the status of the investigation.
I told you I'll check Mr. Nicholas for that. I don't know anything about that. I'm seeing it on the news and I'm seeing it circling, so I don't know anything about that.
So did you believe that?
I don't know anything about it.
So as the Commissioner of Police, are you saying that there is no reward?
I am not saying there's none. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not aware. I saw it in the media.
Disturbing a place of worship, which includes churches, is a criminal offense according to St. Lucia's law books. Convictions carry $1,000 fines or a maximum 12-month prison sentence.
Mr. Henry nor his wife has ever been, were never arrested, and they are not facing any criminal charges.
As of now, no.
They've not been
The
charged,
answer,
or
not been
any-
charged? No,
Okay.
nothing like that at this particular point in time.
In May, the Henry couple issued 2 written apologies addressed to the Forestier SDA pastor and the St. Lucia SDA mission. Although sympathies were extended to the Henry family, who is mourning the sudden death of their son, President of the SDA mission, Roger Stephen, in a May 3rd St. Lucia Times article, said the church will not condone what transpired in Forestier. Joachim Henry, taking to Facebook on June 9th, offered a prayer and thanked his supporters.
And like I said yesterday, when we did have that clip, we would have an update, and this is where we are, that the Henry couple, they're not charged or anything, not been arrested. But it is curious, certain things, like the one complaint that has been made was Guy Joseph, and it's not about violence or anything of the sort. It was for the disturbance in the church. The church itself has not had any complaints. There have been no other witnesses, no other person has come to give that complaint, just Guy Joseph, and not for any kind of violence thing, but just for having a disturbance in the church. Now, we'll take your calls in just a minute, but before we do, I think I have seen in the past 4 weeks this sort of concerted effort to get some sort of action and some police involvement into the entire incident. And I've heard Guy Joseph speak about it, I've heard Champagne, you've heard Norbert, and all of the other things. And I think, you know, this is what they were working towards is getting some arrests. So I think it's very, very curious, very unusual to see it being backed down. But just as we await your calls, we'll open the lines. Let's take a look at Champagne, who was visibly angry when police officers said that what he wants and the action that they want him to take and they want the police officers to take, it doesn't work like that. So let's take a look.
One particular show ventured into sticky territory as the host appeared fixated on a highly politicized issue.
There are hundreds of calls that have been coming in through this radio station in regards to the incident. Now, I know you probably may not want to go down that road, but for the listening interest, because I'm not going to say pleasure, for the listening interest of the public, the incident that transpired a month ago, or almost a month ago, up there at Forest here, is high up there on the agenda of the public.
Despite the host noting that in a previous show, another officer explained that the matter was under investigation, he repeatedly attempted to back his guest into an uncomfortable position.
The incident at Forestier, how would you categorize that behavior as an individual, a police officer? Let's assume that individual had no issue of being a psycho.
Well, I would be preempting the investigation if I were to give categorization.
This topic was debated for the greater part of the 4-hour program, and it is important to note that in multiple instances, the officer appeared reluctant to engage.
You see, the police do not have the luxury of inserting itself in the political campaigns.
No, but no, I want to stop you again. And we we have to go in a little back and forth. The incident at the church is not a political event.
If you allowed me, I would explain.
Okay.
On
all right, go ahead.
Now, a lot of the queries, a lot of the complaints that you're hearing on air, seem to surround, the impending elections and the campaign that is going on and so on.
Mr. Saj, we have to get down to the bottom of this, because a lot of the citizens are saying there's a level of bias because other persons have been incarcerated for similarities.
And that's probably because they themselves have their own bias.
Go ahead, Sas, because we seem to be going in circles.
No, we're not going in circles, Champagne. You see, the problem is that sometimes we do not necessarily want to accept the facts as they are. We see it in a particular way, and we believe that's how everybody should see it.
That show became even more interesting when the UWP minister involved in the controversy phoned into the program and also sought the officer's opinion on the matter.
We'll take your calls now at 572-7588, and we could discuss anything that you want to, anything at all, or anything that I've spoken about so far in the show. With the Joachim Henry and his wife, that sort of thing, I think where I am on it, it's difficult to say, because I understand and I empathize that they've been dealt a great loss by their son. And I also remember speaking privately with the family members there, and they will not say it, they will not utter it, and I understand why, because it is so, dare I say the word, I don't want to, evil for it to be said. But when things are said about your son, especially on his death, and Joachim Henry is being told that he sacrificed his son to win elections, that would hurt, destroy any parent, I think. So, these are personal things, and it's also interesting too, because when you hear the police commissioner say that he doesn't know anything, he doesn't understand, he only saw it in news, that too you know, I think you're the top cop, you're right there, you're supposed to know things, you're supposed to have an understanding of these issues, but Milton Daisy, I guess, with all the accusations being leveled at him and his political interference and how people view him, I think he thought it best to say that he knows nothing. So I think, you know, this is where we are at, and you could call it what you want, and I think I've spoken to people who do think that, you know, Guy Joseph and a lot of them usually come together to see people arrested, and the same way Miss Roma, who was arrested, detained for a couple of hours after there was the motorcade for Jeremiah. There were calls to the station, maybe the same hundreds of calls that Champagne speaks of in his show, that he gets hundreds of calls. The same kind of calls are being put into that police station so that they could keep Roma longer, you know, arrest her and keep her longer for what she did. Christopher Hunt also being arrested because he is a critic of the government. I think it's a sad, sad time, because when Ernest Hilaire says that this will be a very nasty, this will be one of the worst and the nastiest elections, I think he is absolutely right, just because of things like that. And I continue to say that I wish that family a lot of strength. I know this must be very, very, very difficult, but it takes a lot of strength right now. And people speak too of the SDA church and how they're disappointed in them. And I do not think that you should just group the entire church in that way. There are some things that are happening that we have spoken about, and this is what happens when you have certain people who find themselves co-opted by money, co-opted by the land being given at cheaper prices, co-opted in different ways, that you cannot stand up when something is wrong. You cannot stand up when a minister who forms part of a church will tell someone, I'm not going to talk to you because you're an ex-convict and I don't speak to ex-convicts, or someone who will really attack women personally and nothing for that. So we've seen none of that happening within the church, and I think people are seeing that. People are really, really seeing that, and it's, for some, I think they think it's very, very unfair. But I think it was interesting too to hear the leader of the opposition and other members of the St. Lucia Labour Party speak on what is happening to Joachim. So let's take a look at that.
Attorney Lon Theophilus says the situation underscores a concerning trend which has emerged.
Matters which are politically sensitive finding themselves before the criminal courts. I find it rather unique. We saw it happen with Christopher Hunt. We've seen it happen with Ernest Hilaire. It almost happened with the Henrys and this young lady Roma, in Miku. So it should give St. Lucians an opportunity to take a snapshot of the state of affairs, which is rather unprecedented in our country, in my opinion. We would hope that matters of a political nature would be dealt with in another forum, which we are more accustomed to traditionally, and that some matters are not being dealt with through the organs of the state.
Opposition leader Philip J. Pierre and several members of the SLP stood in solidarity with Henry and his wife on Wednesday. Pierre contends that Henry is the victim of a politically motivated effort.
An attempt to derail Joachim's campaign in Castro's office and to sabotage the reputation of a man who is known to many as a peaceful, loving, family-oriented, and upstanding citizen of St. Lucia. Joachim Henry and his family are God-fearing people, with whom I have the utmost respect and admiration for. This is why we must not be consumed by the United Workers' Party and their ploy to deceive and detract the people of St. Lucia from the real issues in the country, the promises unfulfilled. The United Workers' Party is desperate and will try anything to win the general election.
The SLP's political leader has appealed to supporters of the party to remain peaceful and patient in the face of attempts to paint the party as violent.
I ask you to remain peaceful and not to be provoked. We all stand in support of Joachim and his family during this extended time of grief, trial, and tribulation. And to do so, we must continue to protest without any form of unrest. We must continue to protest without any form of unrest. On the day of elections, our form of protest will be at the ballots, where we shall vote against in large numbers against the nefarious and corrupt United Workers' Party.
According to Pierre, the SLP remains committed to Henry's campaign and the constituents of Castries Southeast, who he has urged to support the Henry family at this time.
The word of God reminds us not to be troubled during these times of trials and tribulations. I say to you, St. Lucia, this too shall pass. This too shall pass.
The SLP's political leader...
Let's take the call. Good morning.
Good morning, Trisha.
Good morning, miss.
We are in St. Lucia right now, waiting for an election date. But to me, the UWP think Sunday gone, that they won election. And they are preparing themselves to go back to cabinet to start working again, like what they never did. They want to do what they want the people to see that they're doing that they never did. So why? Why they are doing that to us? They're even having a virtual meet on the television that everything is okay, like, you know, we are all together. It is not together. It is a time, it's the mood that we need election. Prepare yourself to call the people's election. They gather themselves like we are together and we are starting to do things. The end of terms is finished.
Then they in overtime. Right. They in overtime. It's in their 6th year already.
It is finished. Ak yo jivle king.
Yo pa même bouze en paye.
Oui. Ak yo jivle king a to a cochonnier yo ka fe lai. A bêtise. Come on. Having people in papi show. They need to stop that and call the people election. The country is in a mood. Like it's only the Labour Party that giving it a little hype now. Okay, St. Lucia has gone to sleep. Opa wa St. Lucia ka dormi? Anye pa ka fet. St. Lucia ale dormi. Ek Labour Party ble bay ati live. Vote pa dormi. Nou kay leve hot. Pa dormi. Nou la toujou. Bakay kay fet. That is what is happening in the country right now.
So est ou même pa we? Ou vle eleksyon kouye?
Trisha, ça c'est une question, comment de moi là? Ça c'est une question. But tout ça, avec bagay Joachim là, bagay jamais fait un politicien. Puisque si c'était moi la place Joachim, peut-être ma trahi candidate là encore. Moi ka dou ça. Moi ka foute gay Joseph deux coups de poing joli là. Moi sacrifice jish moi. How sensitive that is to say that to somebody's child that is dead? Come on. You don't do that to somebody, a human being, a brother of your church. As women in for a politician, I want people to know who's speaking. I will never do it. Because moi si, la motte fini, police pas kay pour moi même de descendre border li pas comme moi. Because you don't do people this kind of things. You don't do this kind of things. Thank you, Krisha.
Thank you very much, miss. Thank you. And like I said, you know, people's reaction, especially in the time of grief, and that's the kind of loss, and certain things being said by certain people, it just, you know, different people will have different reactions to certain things. But caller, I do appreciate your contribution as always. I think we have another call. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Trisha.
Good morning.
I'd like to address the issue of the leaders of the church and morality. Now, as a people, we have to know that in every church, in every organization, there are very good people and they also have bad people. Okay? In churches, even in the judiciary. And it seems these two organizations, the judiciary and the church, we are afraid to challenge them, or we are afraid to call them to account.
Why do you think that is?
And the issue, I don't know, because we are intimidated, because we are religious people. The same thing Cambridge Analytica played on us. So everybody afraid to say things which is reality about the churches. We have a moral breakdown in society. and in it, all other sections of society, the church is part of it too. Because the hypocrisy, we have to understand there are also wolves in sheep clothing in those churches, and we have to call them out. And it's very sad that everybody is talking about Joachim's action, which I have no problem with his action, but nobody is looking at the problem as to, for a church, moral, say, okay, why did he come? Have they investigated the complaint? We ain't hearing nothing about it. They released his apology, but the complaint he made, what I want to know is whether the church leaders have addressed that. And it's showing the lack of empathy. They will have people who will fall short, but they have not dealt it. We are not hearing anything about that. Whether the complaint he made was true and whether the church has brought them in and addressed it. So that's where they are failing. So, and the fact that the politicians are donating so much money to churches, the leaders are intimidated. They can't speak, so they have no moral authority to speak because churches now is about money. They're about money. They're not about. They're about money. It's like a business. It's like a business to them, and they are human beings just like me. The pastor is a human being just like me, right? A judge is a human being just like me, and we have to quit putting them on a high pedestal and seeing how they're acting differently and they're not doing what they're supposed to do as leaders. Why do they fear politicians? Okay, because they're bribed, because they're and I'm one who have of the firm belief that when a politician is a member of a church is going for politics, man, get off the pulpit. Go to church and sit down there. No church should allow them on the pulpit, because we know the mix, the deadly mix between church and state. That's why there's a separation of church and state. Okay, so you shouldn't allow the churches. That's what I'm suggesting. They can do what they want. The churches should not allow people who politicians on the pulpit while they're in office. Stay out.
Caller, I can respect that. I can respect that.
That's my view. That solve a lot of the problems, because a minister is talking. Nobody wants to challenge him, because we're somehow intimidated by ministers when they are actually our servants. Instead of they being intimidated by us, we are intimidated by them. And that is a psyche we have to change. We have to understand, that our attitude towards that we have to change. Like Kingston John went by the Prime Minister office, but he's a servant. Yeah, he have a right to go there and protest.
Prime Minister's home, you mean?
By his home, yeah. And I think that all other citizens should follow. Go by the other reps' home. Beat your pan by them on the public road, not in the house, on the public road, because a public space. That nonsense about you have to seek permission to protest. Come on, seek permission to protest, to show your displeasure at that. People should follow Kingston actions. You don't need no organization. You protest. You tell him. He's saying what I didn't like. He said, well, he wasn't protesting. Man, I'm protesting because the time is up and we need to call elections. That's what I'm protesting. That's why I am there.
Cole, I have to say thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it, and have a good day. With Kingston Jer, though, I think the man said he wasn't protesting, and in his words, he buys pans at Casabella, and he's a Prime Minister's fault building his home too close to the road. But Kola, I hear you, and I think for some people, especially within that denomination, SDA and everything else, and we've seen a lot of things where, even with Eubolus, and we spoke about him yesterday, you didn't get much of the church coming out to say anything, the leaders saying anything on that. So that really has been an issue. I think we have our final call. Good morning.
Good morning, Tresha.
Good morning, sir.
I heard the Commissioner of Police. Now, I want to tell you. I want to tell him, because he said he doesn't know about what the reporters were asking him. But let me tell him that every murder, every drowning, every road fatality, every sudden death must be reported to the Commissioner of Police. He must be informed. Every arrest or anything dealing with politics, he has to be notified. When Odlum and Josie were arrested, the Commissioner was notified. When Mighty Pilgrim was charged for sedition, the commissioner was notified. Right? When Roma Wilson and was taken in, he was bound to be notified. So, thing with Guy Joseph and Joachim, there's no way that Kelly's back in the head. He ought to be.
Caller, you're breaking up.
He doesn't know something is wrong.
I think we have a problem with our lines. I don't know what's going on there. But caller, like I said, I appreciate your contribution to the show. I do hope that you will try again tomorrow. But I think we have come to the end, and I want to thank all of you, as always, for being here and for us to have the discussions that we're having, the comments. I appreciate the calls, everything else, whether you're at home or driving or at work and trying to steal from your lunchtime watching the show. I appreciate it greatly, and I hope, Sibodevli, that we get to meet each other, see each other tomorrow at 11, same time, same place, where we continue to have more of these discussions. But until I see you next time, please be safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.
I can't stay.